Hello and a warm welcome to today's session on probiotics and its uses. I am Dr. Rachna Agarwal, Assistant Professor in School of Vocational Education and Training, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Let us see in today's session what all are we going to cover. First of all, we are going to learn about what are probiotics and what are the uses of probiotics. Also, we will see what are some common species of probiotics and we will see how we can improve the health of our gut by the use of these probiotics. We are also going to learn about what are the various things that are harmful for our gut health and they should be avoided at all times. So let us begin. What are probiotics? The definition of probiotics says that probiotics are live microorganisms. These microorganisms which are beneficial to our health. So, sometimes when a person has had some illness or has been taking antibiotics and other various medications, and because of that you have had a little upset stomach, you must have felt, and your gut flora goes down, then doctors recommend probiotics. So probiotics are a cluster of live microorganisms. They can be found naturally in foods such as yogurt, fermented and unfermented milk, and also in some juices and soya drinks. So you must be having consuming curd at your home on a daily basis. This curd is, what is this? It is made from milk, and what is the organism which helps in curdling of the milk is a bacteria, and that bacteria is nothing but a probiotic which is beneficial to us. So there are some microorganisms which are beneficial and there are some microorganisms which are non-beneficial. They both exist in our body. There are about 40 trillion bacteria in our body, and most of these bacteria are in our intestines, and collectively they are known as gut bacteria. And in the absence of bacteria, do you know, it will be totally impossible to digest your food. The food which we consume is acted upon by bacteria. There is acid in our stomach which helps in breaking down of the food, but it is the bacteria which is working behind the scene. It is breaking complex molecules into smaller and smaller molecules, atoms, which can be easily absorbed by the body. So if these bacteria are removed from our body, then it will be totally impossible for us to digest the food that we eat. So now I hope you have understood how important these probiotics are for us. The food that we eat greatly affects the quality of this microflora. Okay, the type of bacteria which will be living inside our body are determined by the type of foods that we eat. Okay, there are hundreds of species of bacteria in our intestines, and each one plays a different role in our health. So it is not only that our gut has only good bacteria which is only beneficial, there are also bad bacteria in our gut which if accumulated beyond the a certain level can cause a lot of harm to our body. So there are some species which aid in the digestion and beneficial to our health, and these are nothing but probiotics or the good gut bacteria, while there are some that can cause damage and they should be avoided, which are also known as the bad bacteria. So now let us go to the examples of these good bacteria. What are the types or the examples of these good bacteria? First of all, the main bacteria, I have just shortlisted 3-4. You can remember good gut bacteria, but you can also search for many other bacteria species which can be which are found in small quantities and which are also good for our gut. Mostly the probiotics comprise of these four. First is bifidobacterium. You can see here the picture is showing a Y-shaped bacteria, and it is the first organism which colonizes our sterile gut. You know, when a newborn baby is born, there are no bacteria in the body. The body is totally sterile. It is absolutely, a newborn baby's body does not have any bacteria. But when the baby takes the mother's milk, colostrum as we say, which is loaded with good gut bacteria. These are the probiotics which the baby automatically takes from mother's milk. So the first dose or the first kind of bacteria that colonize the gut of a newborn baby is the bifidobacterium. Next useful probiotic bacteria is the lactobacilli. Lactobacillus, you must have heard of, is predominantly present in the curd or the yogurt that we have. It is the one which is responsible for curdling of the milk. So lactobacilli is mostly present in the GI tract and the vagina, and their presence is important because they inhibit the growth of some harmful bacteria. These bacteria, they produce lactic acid. Lactic acid is acidic in nature, and when they produce this lactic acid in a higher amounts, then the bad bacteria cannot thrive in that environment. So these lactobacilli are doing dual purpose. They are helping in the digestion, plus they are also minimizing the growth of bad bacteria by production of lactic acid, which is making the environment acidic. Third important probiotic bacteria is E. coli. E. coli Nissl. Nissl is very important because E. coli is normally found in our waste. Whatever waste comes out from the body, it has a lot of E. coli bacteria. But a particular strain of E. coli, which is E. coli Nissl, is a probiotic which is useful to our body, as it is mainly responsible for preventing a disease, shigellosis, which is a very dangerous disease. Okay. Now the fourth probiotic I am mentioning here is Saccharomyces. Now this Saccharomyces, as you all must have heard of, is a fungi. It is not a bacteria, but it comes under the category of probiotics. Why? Because probiotics, I said as in the beginning, it is a combination of live microorganisms. So microorganisms may be bacteria, they may be virus, they may be fungi. So here I am not mentioning any viruses because the viruses are not beneficial to us, but a fungi of this genus Saccharomyces is the one which we consume on a daily basis. This is the one which is responsible for making our breads, wines and beer. So anything which we want to ferment, we use a little bit of yeast. Yeast is what? It is Saccharomyces fungi, which is responsible for fermentation process. So basically this is a fungi. You can see here in the picture there are oval globular structures, which are the yeast or the Saccharomyces fungi, and they are useful for our gut as they also reduce the acidity of the gut. So here we have one probiotic which is a fungi, and otherwise I have mentioned three probiotics which were all bacteria. So now let us see how these probiotics are helpful to our system. These probiotics prevent us from intestinal disorders, for example, inflammatory bowel disease and diarrhea. They also break down lactose into lactic acid. As I mentioned, bifidobacterium, then lactobacilli, they all are responsible for breaking down of lactose. Lactose is mainly in milk. See, milk, why we say, is little heavy to digest because there is lot of lactose in the milk, calcium in the milk, and these are all complex molecules. To break down these molecules, we need the action of bacteria. So it is important to have these probiotic bacteria which can break down lactose into lactic acid so that the body can absorb the smaller compounds and we can benefit. Okay, as you know, we say sometimes that we eat a lot but the body doesn't take it. We eat the food but we are not getting benefited. The body shows as if it is not being fed properly. Why? Because maybe the person is lacking a good gut flora. When the good flora is good, whatever you eat will be broken down nicely and the body will be able to absorb it. So lactose is broken down into lactic acid by the lactic acid producing bacteria, lactobacilli, and it makes it possible to digest the dairy products in otherwise lactose intolerant individuals. So this is very important, that there are some lactose intolerant individuals who cannot digest milk and other dairy products, but when they are given sufficient quantity of probiotics, they are also able to digest. Next important use of probiotics is that it makes it possible for the intestines to absorb trace minerals from the diet. Why? Again, because a larger molecule is broken down into smaller molecules which make it easier for the body to absorb. Also, they help in digestion of food and they also help in inhibiting the growth of bad bacteria in the intestines by, now, making the environment acidic in which the bad bacteria cannot thrive. In sick people, probiotics improve the microbiota function as well as types of chemicals that are produced by the gut bacteria. They help in restoring the good health. So these are all the benefits of probiotics. Now let us try to understand the ways in which one can improve the gut bacteria. How we can improve our gut bacteria. Firstly, by eating a diverse range of foods. A diverse diet which is rich in whole food can lead to a diverse microbiota which is beneficial for our health. There are, in some rural areas you would be seeing that they eat different kind of grains, barley, ragi, maize, and they also have in their culture that in some seasons they will make this kind of a chapati, or they will cook the bajra with bajra, dalia, khichdi, and chapatis. So what it does is, this is the in Indian culture we have this in our rural areas. So what it does is that it gives your body different kind of grains in which different kind of bacteria can thrive. So by eating a diverse range of foods in diet, we are promoting the growth of different kinds of healthy bacteria. Secondly, we can also improve our gut biota by eating lots of vegetables, legumes, legumes are dals, beans and fruits. Many fruits and vegetables are high in fiber, and fiber promotes the growth of beneficial gut bacteria. So it is important that your body, we should also consume a lot of vegetables, beans and fruits. High fiber foods cannot be digested by our body because if there are no healthy or good bacteria. So some high fiber foods are like whole grains, broccoli, peas, beans and lentils. They require good bacteria to be properly digested. So it is important that we supplement our gut or our intestines with healthy bacteria by consuming a good variety of whole grains. Thirdly, it is important to consume fermented foods. What are these fermented foods? The natural yogurt, curd, as you know. Also, you have various kinds of breads. You have some kinds of probiotics. Now even the yogurt is coming with the name of probiotics. Then you have certain concentrates by some companies, I cannot name them here. They are giving you probiotics in a small quantity, but it has sufficient number of probiotics. So by consuming fermented foods, our gut becomes richer in the probiotics. So it is important to consume certain probiotics. Especially yogurt is easily found. All our homes have curd in our homes. So it is important to have it on a daily basis. Next, by also avoiding certain foods which are artificially sweetened. There are artificial sweeteners, as you know, which say that okay, if you are a diabetic, then you can have artificial sweeteners. No, artificial sweeteners, they will give you a good taste, but they are not very healthy for your gut. So it is best to avoid such foods which are having a negative effect on your body, on your gut flora. So by not eating foods which are rich in artificial sweeteners, we are also helping our gut in maintaining the good gut bacteria. Next, by consuming prebiotic foods. What are prebiotic foods? Prebiotic foods are those which promote the growth of beneficial microbes in the gut. And these are nothing but high fiber foods. See, many fruits, vegetables and whole grains, they contain lot of prebiotics. Certain prebiotics are known to reduce insulin, triglycerides and cholesterol levels in the people who are obese also, and they may reduce the risk factors for many diseases associated with obesity, including heart disease and diabetes. So now you have seen how we can avoid certain foods and how we can consume certain foods which will both help in multiplying and preserving our gut microflora. See, next very important point for promoting our gut bacteria is by breastfeeding the infant for at least 6 months. When the infant or the newborn baby is born, it is important to breastfeed the infant for at least 6 months. Why I'm saying this is because the newborn baby does not have any bacteria, probiotic or microflora in the gut which will help the infant to digest the food. So you see small babies, they usually take the milk out also, and mostly what happens is if the bacteria is not there, the milk that they consume cannot be broken down and cannot be absorbed by the body. So the child will end up being malnourished. So it is important that a child, a newborn infant when he is born, is breastfed because the mother's milk contains very useful probiotics which are important for the infant to reside in the infant's body to help him develop his own gut flora, which will be very useful in later in his life, and he will have a healthy gut microflora to digest all kinds of foods. So this is a very important point that I wanted to raise. Next is also by eating whole grains. Whole grains means what we usually do is we make chapatis, we make breads, but that is from the flour, from the wheat flour, maida as we say. So here I want to say is by eating whole grains you can improve your gut flora. How you can do it? You will have you can have dishes like a dalia, a porridge, which is form of whole grains. In that you get some solid grains. These are fibrous in nature and they are less in carbs. So these carbs are not absorbed by the small intestines, and in large intestines they are broken down by the microbiota. So this is an important point because when the food travels from stomach to the large intestine, it goes through various stages. And in these stages, sometimes it finds acidic environment, and in some areas it finds good microflora. So in all the stages, if we understand, we give the right amount of bacteria, probiotics, the right amount of environment, then the absorption of the food becomes much better. Okay, so next point is by also eating a plant-based diet. Now, studies have found that vegetarian diet leads to reduced levels of disease-causing bacteria. This is very important. So, by eating a plant-based diet, we are reducing the levels of disease-causing bacteria, that is the bad bacteria. We are also helping in reducing the inflammation and the cholesterol levels. So, there is significant decrease in disease-causing bacteria, that is E. coli, when we eat a plant-based diet. Next, by eating foods rich in polyphenols. Polyphenols are plant compounds. They have many health benefits which include reductions in blood pressure, inflammation, cholesterol levels and oxidative stress. So, good sources of polyphenols are cocoa, dark chocolate, red wine, green tea, almonds and onions, broccoli, blueberries. You can see all of them are plant based. Okay, so it is important to have these in your diet. So next, let us see what we have. The things that are harmful to our gut bacteria. First is by not eating a diverse range of foods. If we do not eat a good variety of foods, whole foods, grains and all, then we are at a loss. Our gut flora will not be diverse and there will be a lot of negative health benefits. Secondly, lack of prebiotics in the diet, that is lack of high fiber foods. If we have less high fiber foods in our diet like vegetables, whole grains, then the bacteria cannot multiply or thrive or their number cannot increase. So important prebiotics like oats, bananas, leeks, garlic, onion, nuts, lentils and beans should be incorporated in the diet. Next, we have to avoid certain habits. What are these? We should not be consuming too much of alcohol. Antibiotic use should be discouraged whenever possible because antibiotics can affect the diversity and the composition of our gut flora, and it can have a long lasting effect. Like if you are exposed to a course of antibiotics, then it can take as long as 2 to 3 years to recover from that loss of gut bacteria due to antibiotic use. Also, lack of regular physical activity, exercise, walking, too much of cigarette smoking, not getting enough sleep. These are all the reasons which deprive your body from a good microflora variety, because you if you are just having curd and you think that you are having a prebiotic dose, but that is only one kind of bacteria you might be having. What about the other kinds which are giving so much of benefit to your body, that they come from a variety of foods and your habits, because you should not be having such habits which is creating stress in your body. If you are not sleeping properly, if you are consuming alcohol, cigarettes, these all will have a negative impact in your body. Our body has a 24-hour internal clock which is known as a circadian rhythm, and sleep deprivation can disrupt this circadian rhythm, which can adversely affect our gut microflora. And high levels of stress can also reduce our gut flora, because the diversity of having a increasing harmful bacteria like clostridium and all gets reduced if we are stressed. Now, in order to improve our gut health, eat more prebiotic foods, consume more probiotics, make time for quality sleep, reduce stress, and eat foods which are rich in polyphenols. Polyphenols I have already mentioned where they are found: onions and other almonds, also cocoa, chocolates, dark chocolates. So that is all for today's session, and we can sum up here that what all we have learned today is, we have learned about probiotics. What are probiotics and what are their importance? What is their uses in our body? What are the examples of probiotics like Bifidobacterium, Lactobacilli, Saccharomyces, which is a fungi, not all bacteria, but yes, one kind of fungi also comprises of probiotics. And what are the things that are harmful to our gut bacteria? We have learned about that. And what actions are required to improve our health? That is very important. So, thank you very much.